Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by another guest from the indie scene. We have Rebecca Chiara Marano. How you doing, Rebecca?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Happy to finally meet you here over on Zoom. I know you've been a good fan for almost like a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years going. So it's good to finally have someone that knows the Ohio Guys and then finally bring on board and getting to interview you and ask some questions about your past work.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to get us underway, cover some titles that your fans have seen you in or heard you in. And so I'm really excited to jump right through. So to kind of get us started, why don't you tell us what is like working in the indie scene today?
Okay. I think the best way to describe the indie scene is that it's whatever you make of it. I feel like we are truly living in the future where, fortunately now, anyone who, goes ahead and studies this kind of craft and they have the guts to put themselves out there can kind of make whatever they want of this. You no longer have to always have an agent or be in LA or in New York in order to be part of the industry. Yes, it's still very competitive, but as far as the indie scene, you can market yourself. You can learn whatever you want by looking stuff up, and it's just there's so much potential for people now when it comes to the indie scene.
I've been a fan of the indie scene for like a few years now. As you've seen, like with the Ohio Guys, how we had like very small, I guess, presence with actors from the indie scene. Back then, guys like Lil Karibo and Team Four Star. I guess you could say they were guys in the indie scene or their own version before breaking into like more professional side of the voiceover scene. So it's definitely got for me to learn about actors, like different stories, different I guess just learning from their point of view, like what is different in the indie scene than being in the professional side of things. So, for you, I'm sure it's really different, different experiences and different titles made by different people that reside in the indie scene.
Mm-hmm.
My observation on getting a chance of meeting different actors. So in the past few years, just getting to interview so many different actors across, not just across the nation, but like different parts of the world. So always just different tales to hear from other actors. So as you said, the indie scene is what you make of it, and it's really different just seeing certain actors how they've molded their own careers in the indie scene, and just seeing what kind of indie projects are there, because some indie titles come across as high level, high professional stuff. So you'd be amazed that indie talent made this stuff, and you would think that a more professional studio, whether it be in East Coast or West Coast, made it, and you'd be like, no, this is made by people either at their own homes or in their own, I guess, their own LLC, and able to create this on their own. So that's amazing. Just fathoming that and just seeing how much work it's put into, and just seeing different actors from the indie scene getting to contribute to those projects.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's really great. I feel like the term indie can sometimes be used back because people think, oh, it's not, it's not Hollywood, it's not these big places in Texas or whatever. But it doesn't mean that the work that's put out is any less. There are some, as you were saying, really amazing studios, and a lot of studios too that started off as indie, most do, I think, and then people recognize them and they can become professional companies or whatever, or some of them stay as indie, and that doesn't mean they're any less great. And what you were saying before too, with all the different actors from all over the I think you said all over the world, that's also an extra added fact to the indie scene, especially now during the pandemic, where we are starting to connect with other people just from our computers. I have so many companies I've started to work with this year that are international, and you would never think that you were working with people from the country of Georgia or Germany or like even places like the UK. And it's so interesting. You get to meet so many people that are just like you that you never would have thought about.
Yeah, it's amazing just comprehending how much the indie scene offers and just meeting different companies, again, around the world, different countries, especially countries that one would not think would have this type of work, and then just being called upon to be booked with their stuff. And then one thing is another, then you come across more and more different companies, different studios. And yeah, look where we are in 2022. Looking back, just of all stuff that's indie, it's just amazing what's been cranking out all these past years.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see more amazing stuff as year goes by in 2022. Then we'll see what the next few years looks like, as whether these established studios, companies continue to build themselves up, create more amazing content. So maybe they will be bigger, or they might grow out being indie and might join the more professional leagues out there. But we can only see and speculate what will happen from here on out.
Yep. There's a lot of growth for a lot of people and a lot of companies for sure.
Indeed. So to make the next transition here, in your experience working in the indie scene, is there any favorite project you got to work on?
Uh, that's such a mean question. I wouldn't say I have a favorite per se, because I love working with all the people that I've worked with, all the studios. I guess one project I do want to mention, only because I feel like no one really knew about it, because it didn't really get, at least from my perspective, I didn't see it around a lot. I got to work in this really great student project called Frankie Gymnastics Star, which is essentially, it was a student film by Lee Witz from Cal Arts, and it's an animation about a hot dog person who just wants to be a gymnastics star, and it's the funniest script I've ever read, and I don't usually laugh out loud when reading people's scripts. That was a very fun day. And then, of course, there's also just enjoying being part of projects when I'm not even the project end itself. Like I definitely want to mention, because I know that I want to mention the team at Team Lionheart, Wingwolf, and the other people there, because it's a whole different universe to finish a project and be like, cool, I'm proud of this project. But then there's another factor of just feeling like you connect with these people and they're still in your life, even after you're not on a certain project. And they're always either commenting on your posts, or they reach out to you individually or in a Discord chat, and you're still communicating with them. And it's just so nice to have the kind of support and be able to talk to those kind of people.
Yeah, it's amazing just keeping those connections, just still being around with these past clients or past studios, past companies got to work on. And hey, maybe if they do create more stuff, new titles in the future, they can always call you back for more stuff. They can always call you back and ask you, hey, we got another thing under wraps. Would you like to come back with us and work on this new title? So again, it's more opportunities, more avenues you can always go through. And yeah, it's just amazing just how many companies there are out there. And like you said earlier, like just the term indie, I guess it's got multiple meanings, or just different viewpoints, just depending on actors or fans or people that look at that word. You know, it can branch off to many different spectrums out there.
Oh yeah. And it's so important to stay in touch with people anyway. Not only, for, oh, maybe they'll use me for another project. But there is a really nice connection between the people that you work with, especially with an art kind of setting. It's a very unique coworker or director, actor, whatever the higher ups are and other people. It's a very unique kind of relationship, and it can be very nice if it's done well.
Yeah, it's always great to surround yourself with great people that can at least be at your level, can be understanding, just in that friendly work environment, which is always a plus to have whenever that opportunity arises. Because everyone's different, everyone has their own methods, but just finding that right comfort zone where everyone is at level playing field, it's always a good plus to have and getting in for actors to have a good spot when recording for these studios or these directors.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then as we go into this interview, and you mentioned already one student film project, here's another one you got to work on. Why don't you tell us what was it like working on Caved In?
Caved In. Caved In was another really great animation that I got to work on. This one was not live directed, but I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It was definitely fun because it was a whole slur of emotions from this person. I think it's really relatable too for any kind of artist. It's essentially about a girl who has writer's block, or I guess artist's block, because she's making a project out of it. And then, of course, it turns into someone's own mind. So it's kind of like the inner parts of what happens when someone has a writer's block, and she has to kind of fight off the monster that tells her, no, she's not good, her art's not good. And kind of break that bad stigma that I think a lot of artists have, where it's like if they're not making enough or they're not as good as other people. And I think it's just a very important message for people to have. And it was a lot of fun to do because I got to make a lot of different. It was a nice. What's the word? I guess a nice resolution from start to finish.
Right, and that's a very interesting, I guess, spin in this little film. It was more of a symbolism with what the character's going through, because if you didn't pick up on it, you would think like this did happen, like this character did get magically teleported into this cave, and then seeing this dark shadow chasing after them. And when I was watching this, it did give me just a little bit of that Fantasia 2000 type of feel to it. Like either it was that fast pacing movement, because it was like almost like a throwback, or that similarity how if you watch any of those shorts that Fantasia had, the speed was though similar, and then like its action scenes were kind of almost the same way. Like if you compare it to with Mickey Mouse with the wizard hat trying to fight off the water, like just those moments where okay, it's just these quick like splashes, these quick I guess collisions you could say. Like even with Caved In, it's like wow, okay, I've seen this before. It's got that vibe to it. So I appreciate how it was short, but still had that uniqueness to it. Either if you really seen Fantasia, you really experienced that type of fast pace where the story had a beginning, a middle, and end, and didn't take too long to get through all three of those.
Yeah, 100%. And I think she won an award or she was nominated for some awards for that too, because she's very talented, and I've worked with her since. Very nice person to work with.
Yeah, and hopefully they will continue making good work. And maybe her style was to be in like short 5 minute or so films, which again it's a certain style that actors have. Like short is their best method because they can tell a story faster that way instead of making stuff that can be an hour or 2 hours long, which can be a lot of time consuming for certain people and just depend on the story if it needs to be that long. Otherwise, if you get 5 minutes in the story, then you're golden.
Yeah, it's definitely a special talent, and it's so different trying to make different types of art for different genres. Because it takes a lot of talent to be able to do something within 5 minutes and have a good beginning, middle, end. But it also takes talent or a different type of talent to be able to make something longer and have the casual development slowly. So yeah, but to have the 5 minutes and be able to do so much in so little time is amazing.
Yeah, and I wish this creator the best. Hopefully, they continue winning more awards, doing more stuff with their artistic creativity. So, sorry if I forgot their name. I would be happy to plug them in, but I'll be happy to put in the link, the Vimeo link, down in the description box for any viewers out there watching this interview. Definitely check out Caved In. It's free to watch.
And I think I have it up here. But yes, her name is Michelle Tang.
Michelle Tang. So wishing Michelle Tang all the best. And if she's watching this interview, thank you for creating Caved In. Awesome work, and hopefully you will continue to flourish in your field. So as we move from the student film side of things, and then we can go to more video game stuff. Why don't you tell us what was it like working on Won't You Stay?
Won't You Stay was really interesting. And it's different how I usually do work because I think I actually played no, I met the cast members first because I think she did a demo or she did something where I was able to find out about the game beforehand and I really wanted to play the game. And then I got in touch with the director because I was like, hey, I just checked out your thing and it looks really amazing. If you're ever doing anything in the future, I'd love to work with you. And she's like, hey, actually, yeah, I'm missing some voices for something. Would you like to work with me? And I said that, yes, that would be amazing. And that's how that kind of transpired.
And that's amazing. Just getting to just communicate, getting to collaborate with people that are working like behind the scenes and it's casting, and then getting a chance to meet, the mind behind this game, and then them opening up their doors for you, saying, "Yeah, I would like to welcome you into my project and have you voice in my game." And again, no example of the indie scene can be very, very different, operate differently, and then just have very friendly people that are always willing to have open networks, having different people come in and out. So yeah, just I guess for you, it never hurts to ask. It never hurts to reach out to someone and find out if there's work available.
Mhm.
And now here you are, getting to check off this game off your belt, add into your resume, and then just continue on forward. Just accumulating more work and just getting more experience as you go along the way.
Yeah. And I think that's also a really big skill set or an important skill set that a lot of voice actors should realize, but it has to be done really specifically. Marketing is very important in voice acting. And I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out to studios or creators. However, with that being said, there's a proper way to do it. You should never do it after an audition or a casting call has already be done. You should never reach out to them if they clearly don't want to be reached out to. As a casting director myself, I always feel horrible when I'm casting something, but then people think they're being sneaky and they try to contact the creator themselves during the casting process because they don't want to have someone trying to pressure them into it. But yes, after a project is finished or after, because I thought the game was already cast at that point, and it wasn't a a big studio or anything like that, and I had asked her about future things, which I think is totally fine. If you want to tell someone, I really loved your work. If you have a roster, if you are looking for people in the future, that's fine. And I think a lot of not directors per se, but a lot of studios do appreciate you just giving them a little email. And sometimes you become part of their roster for that.
Yeah, I think that's a very great, proper, and educational way for anyone that I guess don't know how to really contact people. And now, then watching this interview, they can at least pull a page from you and just learn from your experience and how to send these emails. So it's always really just vital getting this type of information and sharing it to those out there who learn to kind of pick up this stuff and then try to apply it for themselves if they're trying to get voice work or see how things go with their casting decisions.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm glad you got to work on this video game here, and to continue on this row of video games. Here's one that really was visually special, one that was really Nintendo-ish to an extent, and we're going to talk about Beyond the Edge of Asgard. What was it like working on that one?
I'm very excited for this game. It's not out yet. The demo is going to be released very soon. But it's so exciting, partly because I've always loved point and click games. That's my favorite, I think, one of my favorite genres of video game. And it's like what's it called? It's like a blast to the past because it's kind of like an 80s style video game. It's more pixelated. And it's got really fun casted characters, and everyone's voice acted. All the characters are supposed to be. And so I got this email one day from Hans. The creator's name is Hans, and he's from Germany. And he was just like, "Hey, I happened to hear your demo from YouTube, and I think you'd be perfect for one of my main characters." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." And from there, he also got, of course, Patrick Mealy is playing Finn, who's the Roebuck, and we're just a little team that goes along in the game to do stuff. And then as we were doing all this, we were both became the casting directors for that game. So there's a whole two-part thing. Half of it was being the voice actors for the game, and the other half is getting other great voice actors to join us and do some of the other characters. And it's all very exciting.
Yeah, this one looks really promising just by its visual appeal, especially from the trailer with like the mountain landscape, and then with some of the cave aesthetics, as well as when you get into the cities, the beautiful architecture and the lighting, everything about it like just like jumps at you and it grabs you because, like I said, it's got almost that similar Nintendo style when they have their what do you call it? Like it's got some of those vibes to it, and some of their newer titles that they've had. It's almost a bit of a throwback to them. But then for your case, like 80s point and click, and you can tell that the creator really was inspired by those old classics and wanted to bring in that kind of style, but add like more of a modern style to the mix to make it more of a refresher, to give it its own identity. So this one I'm excited for. I'm hoping to try it out. But yeah, I got so many other games to dig through, but this one I'm really hoping to try it out and experience the fun in this one.
Yay. And hopefully so the demo will be coming out, and then they're making a Kickstarter for the rest of the game. So that'll be hopefully released soon. So if anyone wants to support the game, I promise it's worth it.
And I'll be happy to also add the link to that as well for the Kickstarter for any future fans of this game that want to help support both the cast members as well as the creators. That way, this game can really hit home with whatever perks they throw into the game and other special stuff. So I'm always happy to help share things and stuff like that for any voice actors that work on these projects, and for creators that can always use the extra, I guess, awareness, or the just spreading the word for their project. So I think everyone will enjoy seeing the trailer. If they have not heard of this game yet, now they're hearing it for the first time here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Beyond the Edge is going to really do good, especially if it does potentially get some good ratings, good recognition, hopefully some awards, because I feel my bones that this one is really going to, shake things up once it gets fully released.
Hmm. We've got some amazing cast members on it. Sorry, I need to interrupt you. We have some amazing cast members on it. Also, I forgot to mention, it was originally in German. So because he's from Germany, the whole first part was recorded in German with some big German actors too. And then he decided, let's bring this over to like the English market. So now we have the English, not dub per se, but the English voiced version as well.
I think if we're going to get technical, I think it's English localization, if that's the correct terminology. So yeah, I'm happy the creator who's German was able to expand towards the US, because I know that it can always get tricky just branching out to other languages, either because just trying to either stay true to what's being said in its dialogue, or just trying your hand in a different country that might be a little different. For me, I've seen some games that I tell myself I will play them, but I want to read in English because I cannot read a language that I'm not familiar with, so I might lose myself. There is a game out there, and for any viewers out there who watch this interview, it's called Little Snow. For anyone out there that might know what I'm talking about, it's only in Chinese. So unless they're able to translate the Chinese to English, I'll be happy to play it, because I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I think it's called Little Snow, but don't quote me on that, folks.
The funny thing too for me is whenever I'm working with a director from another country, I feel like they're always apologizing, like, I'm so sorry, this may not read well in English, like please like translate it to whatever you think works, and or they say it's not gonna make any sense to you, but help us. They're usually so much better at English than they think they are, and most of the stuff translates very well. So I'm always very impressed with how people are able to take stuff from their own country and then bring it over to the US, and it could pass as an American studio, and you never know.
Yeah, as long as they, I guess, get reassurance and get the support from English speaking actors, then definitely the work will shine. The translation will sound good, because as long as everyone's on board, everyone is putting out the proper wording, then everything is smooth sailing from there. I'm hoping for good things to come out for this game, so I'll definitely keep my eyes open for that.
Woo!
All right, so here's another one that is in the comedy realm, and this one really has comedy in its title. And we're talking about Casino, the Forgotten Comedy. What was like working on that one?
Casino was very fun to do. I think it was the second project I've worked with Neoclassic Games. And it's funny too, because I think it was a Greek comedian. And now I feel so bad if it's Roman, but I believe they're a Greek philosopher who kind of made this comedy. And for those of you who don't know, this game is based off of the actual comedy story from many, many years ago, and then they just turned it into a video game. But I think it's kind of about a lot of stuff about gender roles and about tricking a man into thinking he's marrying a beautiful woman, but really it's another man, and kind of women standing up for themselves. And it was funny to help with that story, considering I've taken 8 years of Latin, so I had to know all of these stories. This one not in that language, but it's fun to be able to take stuff that came from my past and then bring it into my future, my present with voiceover. And I play Marina, so she is the best friend and neighbor to the main character.
And before we did this interview, I mentioned to you that when I first saw the poster or the cover art for this one, just seeing that the clothing, that's basically a Greco-Roman style clothing. And I really told myself, okay, this one is really going to be something. Because for anyone out there that has read any of the Greek, maybe the mythologies or the Greek theaters or just any of its Greek writings, they're amazing. Just ancient times, what they were able to produce, what they're able to put together in writing, as well as the Romans with their own style, their own stories that they wrote. And especially when it comes to the comedies, like you'd be surprised, like how how much they hit, how much they deliver when they can get their comedies put together. So I'm very happy that we get some more Greco-Roman influenced stuff, especially in video game form, where it gets a new kind of fresh coat of paint. Like as you mentioned, it was written in the book and that got turned to a video game. Yeah, you could still do both, but seeing it in its video game form, you get a different feel for it. You get a different experience than in the book, which always helps, just new, keeping it different, but still keeping true to its old format. So yeah, I'm glad for the creator to do this, because I'm pretty sure it was a heavy task just trying to do something new, do something different with something that was written like thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm. They kind of make it into like an anime style art, which is gorgeous, but very modern.
Yeah, I think it always helps if it gets that anime flavor thrown into it, because it just the characteristics, the facial expressions, the eyes, and plus the comedy aspect makes it all more interesting. So again, kudos to the creator for making this, and I'm hoping to try it out myself. See how much work, how much dedication they put into this.
Yeah, and I think they're always making more. I think their new niche is kind of Greek stuff, but before that they were doing like anime artist. But now they're doing a lot of Greek comedy or Greek style games. If you're a fan of those, definitely check them out.
Yeah, I definitely will, and hopefully, again, for new viewers out there who want to like try something different, who want to experience this, definitely try it out, and I'll also see if I can pull a link for this one as well. I forgot if this one's on Steam or one of those other what do you call them? Those other sites where you can pick up all games.
I think it's on Steam though.
Or itch.io. I quickly glanced on the link, so I'll try and dig through it. So I'll move on from that title and to another one that you really mentioned earlier in this interview. You mentioned 8sen. So what was I thinking on that one?
8sen is amazing. It's the closest thing I think I have to anime, because I think that there's definitely a big debate about what counts as an anime. Are you in an anime if it's an anime style, or is it just anime if it comes from Japan? I think I'm more in the second camp, but it definitely has the feel of an anime. It's being done by creator Shogetsu, and it's VO directed by Morgan Berry. And it's an amazing cast of people, and I'm so lucky to be a part of it. Currently, my main role that's will be on in the earlier part of the series is a creature, because I do a lot of creature work. It's more of like a doll kind of character, a demonic kind of doll. Despotic doll is the official name for him. But then later on, I get to be a person who is, of course, the typical cutesy anime girl. So that's a lot of fun, and the art is gorgeous, and there's so many amazing colors. So that's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, this one just piqued my curiosity, and again, just going by its a visual cover, its a poster, it really had that anime vibe going, where they had that influence, that, like, again, is it anime because it's got that DNA of an anime, or it was because it was made in Japan and then exported to us, with us, the US, doing their own localization. So I think that's always a fun debate to always have, like, what constitutes as a anime anymore in these days, when so much influence is, spread across different forms of media, like from video games, indie games, sometimes even like webtoons and online indie films, whether it be like short ones or long ones. There's like 6 minute long ones. Just so much influence over the years, where we get so many different flavors or different spins, twists to them. So, and for you getting to experience, playing, I guess, a typical anime girl, I'm pretty sure that's always fun for any actress getting to play that type of character, or even to, like, just, I guess, just have fun, just doing a certain voice, or just picturing, okay, this is what my interpretation of this anime girl is going to sound like, with your own little tweak to it.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely a very stereotypical kind of role for me, is a lot of cute girls, because I do have a higher ranged voice. So yeah, I'm I'm quite used to that, and it is fun.
Yeah, no, I'm going to definitely add to my list of, to pioneer through. So I'm really hoping to try this one out whenever I get the chance to. Because here's another one that you've been happy to announce a few months back, and this one is King's Blood game. What was like on that one?
King's Blood's a lot of fun. It's another one that has a huge cast, and I believe it's a foreign studio, and gorgeous art. Again, this one, the art is a bit more on the realistic side, and it's an RPG. It kind of has like a D&D kind of feel to it, where you're off on a quest and you can choose certain side missions, or I believe there probably is a main storyline as well. It's not out yet. But it's fun because it's a lot of different actors all doing you know fun adventure roles, and I play an elf named Yasmir.
Yes, that one. I remember you being very excited for that one, and people who watch this video can look at Yasmir's picture. It both this character and a little bit of the game itself, it kind of gives me the Elder Scrolls vibes. Just more of a, I guess, a mixture of, like, its old school 1 and 2 days, when they first had Elder Scrolls 1, Elder Scrolls 2, because this one is more of a, I guess, old style RPG in a way. And then just the art itself, it almost is like it could be in that Skyrim realm, just by Yasmir's facial features. But at the same time, it almost looks like early 2000s, late 90s Bethesda style of the way how Yasmir is drawn and colorized. So I
Yeah.
I give points to any indie studio, if they love Skyrim, if they love any of the Elder Scrolls prequels, then you guys have my attention because I'm a big Skyrim fan, Oblivion fan, and still waiting for number 6 to come out. But that's a different discussion. So just always something interesting whenever someone gets influenced, or like it gives you those vibes, that a bit of a throwback, because I appreciate just influence whenever these adventure games, these medieval genres have those settings, can give you those type of memories.
Mm-hmm. And I think the voice acting definitely adds to it. There are similar games, similar in that kind of genre, where it's not necessarily voice acted, and you just see the little things, the pictures of people that come up in their words. But I think when you have the emotion of an actor behind it, like yelling, whether it's like really stupid lines or really powerful lines, I think it immerses you into the world a little bit more.
And that's one of the beauties when voice acting can really captivate its audience members or the player or what have you. And that's what Skyrim did for me when I was playing it. Like, just got so immersed, just hearing all those different, I would say European accents. But if we're going to just go by the game's lore, if you want to just do like more of like a Viking or Elvish accent or all that stuff, then you feel like you are in those worlds just by the way they speak, their mannerisms. Every little intricate part sucks you into these games and into what these characters are all about.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I'm hoping to again experience this one too. You've just been on a roll with all these great games that are soon to be coming out. So
there are so many ones I just really want to talk about and really want to post, but I can't yet. And there's just so many that are in the lineup, and some of them are like people that were like, yeah, it'll be out next month. Okay, now it's gonna be next month. And I'm like, when will it happen?
And you've definitely had a great 2021 of all the work you've been just knocking out of the park. So, and we gotta see how 2022 is gonna shape up for you as stuff gets released, as you're able to finally, announce on social media what's been approved to be spoken about. So, yeah, I'm hoping to see what else gonna be popping out soon.
Oh, same here, very much.
All right, and then to finish up this stuff you voiced, and I think it's gonna be a good one to kind of end things. So, why don't you tell us what's it like working on To All the Wolves I've Slain?
So this one is very different from a lot of the other projects I did. It was for this past year's oh shoot, I'm forgetting the word for it now. It was for Spooktober. That's the name for it, which for people that don't know is an annual competition run by a development team that gets sponsored and all the other stuff. And you have exactly 1 month to create a video game from nothing. And I contacted a creator I've worked with before on projects. Specifically, it was oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the titles. Pimper Sock's Polymorphin Potion, I believe. And I talked to him like, hey, are you still interested in doing a Spooktober project? And then what happened though, he was very busy, so I kind of became like half of the actual team and essentially became a producer, where it wasn't just me voicing a role, but I was the one who got together a whole team of people, like interviewing artists and logo designers and of course the cast, but kind of being the one to like oversee an entire project from start to finish and coming up with schedules and deadlines, and also reporting back to the main creator and be like, hey, what does your story require for this? What kind of artist are you kind of looking for? While also editing a script with him. So it was a whole big whole different experience, but for the most part I think it was for the best, because now it's something that I feel like I can do if I ever want to do something like that again, and it gave me a different perspective on how other parts of the indie game scene work. So that was exciting, and of course my character, who is Velma, was fun to play as well, because it's part fighting and part, visual novel.
This one really stood to me the most because anytime you see a girl in the woods surrounded by a wolf or two, you think about the classic Grimm Brothers tales, the Red Riding Hood, and then you kind of see that, okay, she kills them. So now it's like a twist. Okay, now we get this picture in our head, the Red Riding Hood be able to fight back, able to cut down wolves with no problem or without the help of the X-Man of the woods. So it's one of those fun little things where a twist in itself just kind of helps make it even more enjoyable, more more unique just of that concept in itself, which is,
Mm-hmm.
and again, if we're going with like the old classic portrayal of young girls where they don't have the abilities to kill wolves because they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. Okay, but then switch the elements around, that the girl be able to fend for herself, then you have something very interesting in your hands. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I took out just by just by seeing the visual cover in itself.
Yeah, and it's not even that she fights off a wolf, she fights off a werewolf, because that's our other spin on it. It's supposed to take place after, the main Red Riding Hood story, where she's kind of out for vengeance. And it's not just a wolf, it's a werewolf, so there's the whole other element to it, and her family comes from a line of, kind of werewolf killers. And then it kind of goes down a story of all the other people that are involved until you kind of get to the final person of like, okay, where did these werewolves come from? How did this develop?
I also like that concept too, where now her family has lineage of doing this. Almost sounds like a Belmont from Castlevania type of style there too, where the whole family lineage has had the history of dealing with the I guess supernatural, with monsters of horrors. So, and yes, with the werewolf, I think that's even more interesting because wolves are strong by nature, but werewolves are even more stronger by all the mediums we've seen. They're just always harder to keep down because they're just more brutish. They're more in that supernatural realm where you have to throw everything at them just to finally kill them. So again, though fun story, though fun twist, having this girl being able to have all these attributes and to again stand up to the monsters that are built to go through the average person with ease. But
Mm-hmm.
with your character Velma, she's at a different level, so she's able to have the abilities to take down werewolves and whatever other monster might come across her way.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of strength in like the women in this game, because not only is Velma, she's not like a cute little girl that's like, oh my god, I'm scared. She's very much like, I'm strong, I'm gonna kill someone. She's not very bubbly. And you also have other villains where it looks like the typical Disney princess. Oh, but she's a really good fighter. And she, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but or the granny who is not a frail little granny, but like is like capable of like punching someone out. There's a lot of really great strength in a lot of the characters, especially the women. But then of course there's also the aspect of comedy, because even though like Velma's not, a comedic kind of person, we made the Hood its own separate character. So he's kind of like the comic relief, and kind of, I guess the best way to compare him is like, in Lion King, Zazu is kind of like the little sidekick there that's funny. It's kind of like that. And I think the voice is similar too. So that's another fun element to it.
Now that's some interesting stuff. Again, every little thing comes together in place and makes the story, the journey, even more fun uh to take in and to just see these characters interact. It makes it something even more that a person may not have expected from before when they first jumped into this. So I'm I'm glad so much creativity can go into this title in itself.
Oh yeah, definitely a big work. But yeah, there's a lot of effort by everyone's part into it. So for sure.
All right. So it's time for the funny question I like to ask everyone. This one I'm gonna really I'm gonna really challenge you on this because I'm about to have you almost culminate all your past characters into this one question. If you could be any character you have played in real life, who you be, and you can mix and match.
Okay. This is also very hard. I'm stuck between two. I don't know if I'd mix and match. I guess I could mix and match them. It would be very interesting. One of the characters that I played is named Mishi, and she was an idol in a game called Falling Stars, which I loved, and it didn't get enough, I think, as many accolades as it needed to be. It was kind of like a psychological thriller game. So she's an idol, and I thought that that's always a very interesting type of character. I know in real life, the life can be very hard for idols, but in this little fake world, it seems lovely. So maybe half her, but also a part that I was cast in was like this magical demon cat named Dante. And he's from I'm now blanking out on the name of the project, of course. From Luna's Underworld. And so I think that would be fun if I can mix those together and get like a demon cat idol. I think that would be fun.
Okay, those sound interesting. Some other characters, no, haven't touched upon here, but I kind of like your thought process, just putting these two together. And yeah, you could always have abilities or certain characteristics just match together. It's always a fun question to ask actors just to see what they think or what they say how other characters would look like if they were just meshed together and have those abilities or those features.
Yeah, and sometimes you get psychotic answers. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good. This is the fun one. Just hearing your thoughts on this. Is there anything coming out that you can't talk about, or is there anything that you want to plug in at this time?
Oh gosh. Probably. Let me think. So I definitely, like I plugged before, the and now I just forget all the names of my things when I talk to people, and I feel so terrible. But Owl's Guard, when that is gonna be coming out soon, that'll be fun, and that'll be a Kickstarter for people to help support. Another project that I think I can talk about. I can't say much about my own involvement in, but it's something I did help with cast directing for. It's called now I'm forgetting everyone's names. Poppy at the End of the World, which is another really fun. I think it's more visual novel based, and it's beautiful art. I've worked with this director many times before. She always does gorgeous stuff. So be on the lookout for that when we have our character announcements and all that. That also is going to have a Kickstarter. And I think everything else I'll probably still be posting on my Twitter. So that'll be the updates.
And just to chime in here, you did have like the little Christmas special from there if you want to plug it in, since yes, we are in January, but we're still in the winter season. If people want to still get something of the snowy winter feels, I think that's that title from Christmas. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, again, my mind is going blank when I talk about stuff. This is Watch Over Christmas from Dionis Games. I apologize for mispronouncing that. But Watch Over Christmas is also, this is another point and click game, very fun. It just got released around Christmas. However, they also have a bunch of voice actors. I play Cisco, who's the main boy who has to save Christmas. However, the voice patch is not yet released, so that's going to be released in the future. But for now, the unvoiced version is out.
All right. So keep an eye out on that stuff. And yeah, and then to kind of let people know where to find you for both those updates and for new announcements on new roles, new projects, any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media for fans to contact you at?
Yeah. Well, as far as contacting, I guess I would say my website, which is rcmvoice.com. Or I guess the main places you're going to see my announcements is going to be Twitter, which is, again, at rcmvoice. And I do have an Instagram under the same handle. I don't use it as often. I feel bad, but I don't. The main place is going to be Twitter, and that's where I'll be making all of my announcements and things I'm not allowed to talk about, but I would love to.
Yeah, so you got Twitter. So again, that's where we're gonna have all the announcements, all the roles, new stuff. So yeah, hopefully everyone will check you out there and wait for other stuff that'll be announced for 2022.
Yeah, or just pictures of my dogs. I post about my dogs sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for your time for your first interview. I'm very happy and honored to have got to meet you and to ask you all these amazing questions.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. And thank you to our viewers out there for tuning in for this episode of the Ohio Guys. Thank you, everyone. And I will be seeing you in the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye.